city right now for a whole range of reasons. I think that on the national front, we have seen so many actions against immigrant and refugee communities that there is palpable fear and actual displacement in those communities. That plays out on the streets of Seattle because we have such a large immigrant and refugee population that we're really proud of and that we think adds to our diversity, adds to our success. And at the same time, against that backdrop, we have a city of Seattle that has grown tremendously in the last 4 and 7 years. We went from having the median house price in Seattle of being around $300,000 7 years ago. It's now over $700,000 today. And the rent has also gone up, and so is Seattle becoming more and more unaffordable. We have seen communities of colors pushed out. We're seeing it harder for any immigrants and refugees to get any kind of toehold here. And we're also seeing displacement. You know, the Central District, when I was growing up here, was primarily African Americans, and now it's not. And it's not just the residents, but the businesses that are at risk and the like. And so against this backdrop, we're trying to see as a city government, how can we make sure that we have programs in place, for example, to fight against some of those fears in immigrant and refugee community that we're seeing on the federal government level. One perfect example is how we've worked and come together is around census planning. You know, we as a government can take actions to try to stop the citizenship question, and we can have, like I did as a mayor directive, the city of Seattle will not give information to ICE unless it's cleared by my general counsel. There's got to be court warrants and all that, so we avoid what happened at the State Department of Licensing and what we've seen recently, even this morning in the paper. But how do we make sure that we both get good information to and hear from communities? And that's you guys. There is only so much that we can do to even if we use language and culturally appropriate communications, really we have to rely on ethnic media to talk to the people. That's where people go for their source of news. That's who they trust. And so for us to do our job to serve people in these difficult times, we know we really have to rely and have a better relationship with you. And so one reason I wanted to be here today is intermittently, I see almost all of you around the table at different times and different functions. But meeting with our communications team, we think it's so important to the future of Seattle for us to do what we need to do around housing and wages and making sure that we have projects in each of our neighborhoods and districts that are fight against displacement and give people opportunity. I'll give you another example. Is I was recently at a public forum in South Park, which I go to pretty frequently, and talking to people in the gym afterwards and listening to them. Many of them had children in the Seattle public schools. Very few of them knew that their children now could get 2 years free college. So we need a better way to reach parents to know, so that they know these opportunities are there for their children. And we are now as a city working really hard to combine that free college with other opportunities. So we're working with businesses and trade unions to bring jobs to kids in high school and while they're getting that college degree. And as they graduate with that college degree, they actually have a family wage job coming out. But some of that communication we rely on the school district, some of it we rely on everything, but really what we need to do is reach into communities that the best form of communication is the people sitting around this table. So I want to make sure that we have a better and stronger relationship with you, because we know, for example, that if we need more housing in every part of this city. And as we build that housing and those opportunities become available, or if there's tenant protections in place to protect people, they have to know what they are or those protections aren't real. So we really want to make sure that I'm accessible, that we are thinking about as we transmit and communicate our a lot of really good news, some challenging news in this time, that we are being able to reach, you know, so many people who that we don't otherwise reach. So this is the first of what I hope is, you know, periodic meetings like this, but also so that, you know, I'm able to sit down with you individually and see if there's ways we can amplify and answer the questions that I know your communities have, and that you are sometimes the best voices to both ask and sometimes challenge, and then get responses. So, we know we've done some stuff that is working and good, but we know we have to do more. For example, we've got Uncle Bob's Place that we're doing in Chinatown International District. It's going to be a tremendous, great project, but not many people, a lot of people haven't heard about it and what the parameters are around it. Our Equitable Development Initiative, when I came in, there was no permanent source of funding to provide to those projects. We were able to devote $5 million a year, which is not enough, but through that, for example, we're able to give seed money to the Ethiopian Community Center, so we can finally get that project moving forward. We're able to help finally the Filipino Community Center, so that project comes online and provides an anchor for the community. We're doing Africa Town through both EDI funds and our housing funds. So really looking at those community-based solutions so that we have places for people to go, to congregate, for intergenerational. You see so many communities where, because people can't afford to live here, even if the parents or grandparents can find a place to live, their children and grandchildren are living far away. And so how do we create intergenerational spaces for people to live in? What do we do to make sure that the commercial space is affordable? So that if someone wants to go to find the groceries and stuff that they need for their culture, they don't have to travel to Kent or Fife and come back to Seattle. So we know there's a number of challenges across the board, but really I think that people don't appreciate what a central part how people get information is on just the whole fabric of who they are. The last time I was at the drop-in center for the Filipino Community Center, I walked in the main hall, and there's like 20 mostly older people sitting around watching the direct broadcast from the Philippines, because it's that important for them to stay in touch and get news. And so we know I haven't done as good a job as I should do, and I want to be able to be more accessible and answer some questions today.